ICE agents shoot and injure a woman in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood.
Chicago woke up to sirens, gunfire, and confusion. A city once again caught between fear and fury. Last night, what started as a simple traffic stop in the Brighton Park neighborhood spiraled into a national headline. Border Patrol agents opened fire on a U.S. citizen, leaving her hospitalized and sparking protests across the city. Scene 1. The shooting happened fast. Witnesses say a white unmarked SUV, later confirmed to be a U.S. Border Patrol vehicle, pulled up near 44th and Archer around 8:30 p.m.
They're treating our community like it's a war zone. They're creating that, not us.
Moments later, multiple other cars surrounded it. Agents later claimed they were boxed in, trapped by unknown vehicles. According to initial reports, a female driver exited her car holding what appeared to be a firearm. Agents shouted commands, but within seconds, gunfire erupted. 3 shots echoed through the street. Neighbors say they saw flashes, screams, and a woman collapsing to the pavement. She was rushed to Stroger Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. But what happened next turned this from a police report into a political firestorm.
We see it on the news, we see it on our phones, but to see it live is just shocking that this is America, this is the country that we love, that we work for, that we protect.
ICE is terrorizing our community. People are scared to go out. Kids are afraid to go to school. We should not be living like this.
Scene 2. The fallout as news spread. Crowds gathered fast. Angry residents, community leaders, and immigration activists demanding answers. Why is Border Patrol in our neighborhoods?
Protesters shouting at federal agents near 35th and California in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood Saturday.
Come get me, come on!
It became the site of a large federal presence after a woman drove there in this SUV, arriving with multiple gunshot wounds.
Let's get the hell out of here. When one of the immigration officers just grabbed him from his arm viciously and arrested him.
One woman shouted. Others chanted, "This is not a war zone." Within hours, the scene filled with protesters. Riot shields appeared. Tear gas was deployed. The tension in the air was electric, like Chicago was holding its breath.
Since then, there was one car that was at this gas station with a person, a U.S. citizen, who has now been detained.
By midnight, local reporters captured clashes between demonstrators and federal agents. Smoke drifted through the night sky. Scene 3. The National Guard enters by dawn. President Donald Trump addressed the situation from Washington, calling Chicago a city out of control.
This comes as the White House says President Trump has authorized the Illinois National Guard to be deployed here after an ultimatum was given to Governor J.B. Pritzker.
He announced the deployment of 300 National Guard troops to restore order and support federal operations. That announcement hit Chicago like a shockwave. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker immediately objected, saying the deployment was unauthorized and unacceptable. Chicago's mayor's office echoed that outrage, accusing the federal government of escalating rather than calming the crisis. But within hours, armored vehicles were already rolling down. 55 helicopters hovered over the loop, and checkpoints began forming near the city's west side, something Chicagoans hadn't seen in decades. Scene 4. The witnesses' residence in Brighton Park are still shaken. One man who lives near the intersection said, "I heard gunshots, then screaming. It didn't sound like police. It sounded like war." Another woman who filmed the aftermath on her phone said she saw Border Patrol agents shouting at people to get back, while others rendered first aid to the victim. Her video, which now has over 2 million views on TikTok, shows a chaotic scene. Flashing red lights, smoke in the air, and a voice screaming, "She's down! She's down!" Scene 5. Confusion and contradictions. The official story from federal agencies paints one picture, but local witnesses tell another. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the woman approached officers brandishing a semi-automatic weapon after surrounding their vehicle. But several neighbors claim they never saw a gun. Some insist the agents fired first, without warning. Security footage from a nearby business may provide crucial answers. It reportedly shows part of the incident from above, though authorities haven't released it publicly. Scene 6, a city on edge. In the hours after the shooting, protests erupted across Chicago, from Brighton Park to Pilsen, from Little Village to the Loop. Many protesters carried signs reading "Stop the raids" and "We're not the enemy." Others demanded justice for the woman shot, whose name has not yet been released publicly. The crowd grew tense when federal agents appeared again, this time accompanied by Chicago police and National Guard soldiers. Witnesses described flashbangs, pepper spray, and arrests as the protest turned violent. One journalist on the ground said, "It felt like Broadview all over again, but worse." Scene 7, politics and power. This confrontation isn't just about one shooting, it's about control. For months, Chicago has been at the heart of a growing feud between federal immigration authorities and local officials. The city has long declared itself a sanctuary city, limiting cooperation with ICE and Border Patrol. But the Biden administration's recent enforcement surge, dubbed Operation Midway Blitz, has flooded Chicago with federal presence. Now, after the shooting and the National Guard deployment, city officials fear Chicago is being used as a testing ground for federal crackdowns. Alderman Jesse Fuentes said in a press conference, "This is not law enforcement. This is intimidation. Our residents are being treated like enemy combatants." Scene 8, the human side amid the politics and chaos. One truth remains: a woman nearly died. Her family says she was returning from work, unarmed and terrified when agents surrounded her car. Her lawyer insists she never threatened anyone, that she was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. She's recovering in a hospital under federal watch, and her case could determine whether the Border Patrol acted lawfully or recklessly. For many Chicagoans, this shooting isn't an isolated event. It's a symbol, a warning of how blurred the lines between federal authority and civilian rights have become. Scene 9, voices of the streets as dawn breaks over the city. Hundreds gather outside the Cook County Courthouse holding candles. One activist's words echo through the crowd. "They shot one of us yesterday. Tomorrow it could be anyone." The fear is real, but so is the anger. And Chicago, a city built on resilience, isn't staying silent. Live streams, hashtags, and community rallies are surging across social media. Stand with Chicago is trending nationwide. For the first time in years, national eyes are back on the Windy City. Not for sports or politics, but for justice. Scene 10, the questions no one can answer. Why were Border Patrol agents patrolling a Chicago neighborhood in the first place? Who authorized the use of lethal force? And what will the National Guard's presence mean for Chicago's future? As these questions hang in the air, the footage keeps circulating online. Grainy cell phone clips, flashing lights, and a voice crying out in fear. To some, it's proof of chaos. To others, it's the sound of a system gone too far. Either way, the world is watching, and Chicago is standing at the crossroads once again.